going on with everybody? It is your boy Eric, aka Young Guy, coming to you live in the Green Dungeon, giving it to you real raw rugged. And shouts this guy for working with me. I'm over here having car problems, and he was super duper flexible working with me. So shout out to that. I've definitely had people that's not that flexible. So shout out to you. Without any further ado, I'll let you introduce yourself, man. Who do we have here today?
What's up, man? It's Zoomo.
How you doing today?
Good. Can't complain. Nice calm day. A little work. A little chilling. I got my like old game systems set back up, so I've been taking a little time away from work, just like decompress a little bit.
What systems do you have?
PS1, 2, 3. I'm getting them like all set back up. And 4. I'm tired of like Fortnite and all this new stuff.
What are you gonna be playing on the old ones?
Right now, I'm playing Mark Echo's Getting Up.
Mm.
Yeah, the graffiti game.
Yeah. No, I've been so like busy with school that I have not been playing the game. The last game that I was playing was funny enough, like a graffiti type game. I forget the name of it. It's on Xbox. Dang. Shout out to that game. It's a really fun game. You're like it's like a hip hop game. They're playing like these like you got like break dance against people. It's all over the place. You're like skating. What is the name of that game? Hold on, I'm gonna find it real quick. Graffiti game.
I feel like I know what you're
Xbox.
talking about.
What is this game called? Boom. No, excuse me. Bomb Rush Cyberpunk.
Yeah, I've been seeing that. I've been seeing that.
Fun
Looks,
game. Fun game. Fun game. If you
I gotta
can,
try it.
please play that. That's a fun game. I haven't finished it because, like I said, I've been so busy. But I was a big fan because it's like the the soundtrack is so addicting. The gameplay is fun. And like it's just a bunch of like hip hop elements, like like it'd be like the final boss is like a super duper hip hop guy, so you do like a head spin. It's fun. It's very different. I would recommend the game to everybody. But
Crazy, yeah.
yeah,
Check it out.
for sure. Do you have like a favorite game ever?
Oh man.
Or if you can't do favorites, if you're like battling between two or three.
I really liked NBA Street Volume 3. Trying to think of like older stuff. The Getting Up is like really good. Mark Echo's Getting Up.
Mm.
Um, I like found my old memory card, so I'm just like seeing all these old saves that I have. It's crazy. I used to be like super deep into that game. A lot of like the skate games, old basketball games, NFL Street, um, the the football, um, like street version where you could run on the wall. Yeah, I don't know, man. A lot of old games. I haven't really had time to like dive into like games as much because
Yeah,
I've just been like super focused on working. But it's good. It's like take some time away and
for
just
sure.
like sit and do nothing for a second.
Somebody who's been kind of diving back into older games. I just saw a tweet where somebody was talking about like it was either NBA Jam or NBA Street, and they were like one of their critiques about newer games is that sometimes it could be like super duper ultra realistic, and it takes away that fun aspect that like an NBA
Mm-hmm.
Street or an NFL, like Blitz or something that you can't get with super duper simulated like Madden or something because it's supposed to be like a simulation of a real game versus this is an arcade game. Do you feel that going back and playing old games?
For sure. NFL Street, it was like the big one. I was playing with the homie and it was like crazy passes and you can like turn on some game breaker and it makes everything like blue and you can like run through people and it's like it's a little more fun. It's not like the ultra realistic stuff is fun sometimes, but we got to get back to like just having fun. Like all this new stuff is just like
Yeah,
it's much.
because now when you play like a football game, it's like real strategy. It's like you're playing a real game. It's like all right, I gotta call an
Yeah.
audible hot. You do all this stuff versus like Blitz, like you said, you can just turn like some cheat code and now like you're throwing like 1,000 yards in one pass. You can't do that.
Yeah,
So no, I do agree with that. That is very very fun. But it's funny because kind of taking a step back on that, like why we're doing this interview, I feel like a terrible person because I've been keeping up with you for a minute. I had no clue that you dropped Absolution until you dropped the Navy Blue video. And I was like, how out of the loop am I? Like, and I looked, I'm like, oh, he dropped a new album. I gotta listen. And I'm like, this album came out last year. I felt terrible. So I just want to apologize to you publicly because everything I've ever heard from you is amazing, including Absolution. Had no clue this drop, but I'm glad, and I hopefully are. I'm pretty sure there's probably people out there that had never heard of you, heard the
Hmm.
Navy Blue, and now going back. So I feel like, would you say this is like a good introduction to your style and who you are?
I think so. This is like my favorite project of mine that I've put out. Like cohesively, like sonically, all the sounds, the artists, the samples. It's like everything, the art, everything came out like exactly the way I wanted. Everybody involved killed it. So I would say like this is a good intro.
No, this album reminded me of an album that came out in 2020 by DJ Preservation called Eastern Medicine, Western
Hmm.
Illness, and I love that album. Beautiful beats on there, a lot of great rappers. Similar, is some people that were on here that was on that album as well, and
Mm.
I really do like both of those albums a lot. Absolution is it's definitely different, and it has its own thing going on. A lot of like different styles of rapping too, because it's not just like everybody's rapping like Uncle John, because they're not. Because
Hmm.
Uncle John don't sound like nothing like Navy Blue. Navy Blue don't sound like Wiki. That Wiki song, honestly, is one of my favorite Wiki songs now. Like that song is like that's like the most like I'm proud to be from New York song I've ever heard in my life.
Mm.
I love that song. But yeah, that was just two parallels. Just hearing that album and hearing this album, I'm like, man, it's kind of similar. And that was like I said, it's an album that I really like.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it. It's that wiki song's like embedded in my brain. When we did the video, like I just remember like hearing it like 50 times that day. I already knew all the words, but then doing the video like all day, I was just like, oh yeah, I knew every single word.
No, it's
I
a
love
fire,
that song.
fire song. Like y'all not from New York, you based in New York. You know, like
Yeah,
just that's a
yeah.
great song, great song. And it's funny. Where are you from again?
North Carolina.
You're from North Carolina. So being from North Carolina, what is like growing up? What is everybody listening to in North Carolina? Like, what is this? What is the sound? Because when I think of North Carolina, I do think of like, like a Little Brother type of thing,
Hmm.
and like J Cole, but not, you know, not too many other
Uh,
artists.
when I was coming up, it was definitely like Little Brother. Like my dad was listening to a lot of Little Brother. So I remember like having like the CDs. I used to put them in the Xbox when I
Mm,
was younger because you used to be able to like listen to the music on the Xbox while you played. So I had like the minstrel show from Little Brother was like on that. So every time I play a game, I would just like listen to that through the Xbox. There was like a lot of some from Chapel Hill, Carborough, ish area. So it's like a lot of like punk stuff, jazz. But I also like when I growing up, my dad listened to like everything.
yeah.
So just got a lot of like different influences in the house that probably helped my like progression into music and like sampling everything. Because I just remember like early on listening to like Trick Daddy in the car and like uh, there was like a Tupac cassette my dad had, and then like going to jazz, and then hearing like country in the house, and hearing like old punk stuff, like everything
Yeah.
essentially.
Are there big punk artists from North Carolina?
Mm, we definitely like had our a few bands that were big over there, like Sibinac and can't remember this other band. There's a lot of like local bands, punk bands from like North Carolina who are doing stuff. It's cool. It's a cool scene. Small scene,
Yeah.
but it's definitely cool. Rap scene was small. Beat scene is even smaller.
Encompassing, I guess, like every genre. Who would you say is like the biggest artist to come from North Carolina?
But like hip hop wise.
No, just like any like just in general. Like the person that like when you think of North Carolina music, like oh yeah, that person is like that person in North Carolina.
Probably J Cole. I
Mm.
would say like that's like the most like notable. Everybody's like, "Oh, you're from North Carolina, J Cole."
I assumed,
Yeah.
I assumed, but I didn't know if there was like some singer in the '80s that I was like, oh, er, this person's from North Carolina. Like I didn't know if like
I
Aretha
don't know,
Franklin's from
like
North Carolina.
Ninth Wonder, maybe
Yeah,
like
yeah.
before J Cole. Ninth Wonder was like a big one, and that was like a big influence. You know, like growing up over there was like close by. I used to watch like the Rhythm Roulette and
Yeah.
different Ninth Wonder videos and like making the beat and all this stuff. I don't know.
You guys got some legends. I looked it up. You guys got some people bigger than J. Cole. A
Who's
bunch of
that?
jazz people. You got Thelonious Monk. You got John Coltrane,
What?
Nina Simone, George Clinton. Rest in peace. She just passed away like a few weeks ago. Roberta Flack. Yeah, y'all got some people.
Wait, they're all from North Carolina.
They're all from North Carolina.
Wait, where's Coltrane from in
John
North Carolina?
Coltrane is from. Let's click on it. John
What?
Coltrane is from Hamlet, North Carolina.
Damn.
Yeah.
I feel
Um.
bad. I didn't know. I didn't do any of my
Yeah.
research. What about Thelonious? Where's he from?
Thelonious Monk is from. Where's his name, man? I just scrolled by it.
What?
As I find his name, somebody that I also forgot about, who I definitely knew was from North Carolina, Fantasia.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
Fantasia. Let's see. Thelonious Monk is from Rocky Mount, North Carolina.
Okay. Interesting.
Did not know George Clinton was from there. So yeah,
Oh,
y'all.
what about him? Where's he from?
Y'all.
I'm so curious.
Yeah,
Like now
he
I'll
is
know.
from. I don't know how to say this. Canopolis, Canopolis. You don't even know where that's from. That must be like a small ass city. Moral of the story: there's a bunch of people from North Carolina that I had no clue. And I looked up the last one, Nina Simone. Where's she from? She's from Tryon, Tryon, North Carolina. You ever heard of that?
Tryon?
Tryon. Small ass
I don't know
cities,
where
I
that's from
guess.
either.
Small ass cities, but
Bunch of small towns.
yeah, that's interesting.
That's crazy. I'm from there and I had no idea.
That's interesting that like, so it is like is music not like not promoted, but like the fact that you didn't know, because like from Florida, I know all of the Florida artists. Like I know every big artist from Florida. Is music like a big thing in North Carolina where like, like for example, I'll say it like this: football is everything in Florida. Football is like you live and die by football. You know all the big football players or whatever. But maybe in somewhere like I don't know North Dakota, football is probably not that important. So they don't really know a lot of the football history in North Carolina because like they don't really care about that. Is music something that's like a staple in North Carolina? If that makes any sense.
Yeah, I mean, basketball was like the biggest thing
Got you.
growing up. Because I'm from Chapel Hill, so like UNC was like everything growing up. To me, music was like everything, but I was also like just on the internet, like heavy, looking everywhere else. So I was just like doing my research everywhere else in the country because there wasn't really anybody doing it like around where I was from. Like, you know, I would like tap into the Durham scene a lot and like Raleigh, but like Chapel Hill and Carborough, there was people making beats at that time, and like like some kid from school would be rapping, and like we would have a session, but it like it didn't turn into anything. Um, but there was definitely like people making beats where like I had a few friends who were making beats at that time, like where I grew up. Um, so I wouldn't say like music is like the big thing. It definitely is. Like the Cat's Cradle is like a big venue there. Um, the Cave, Local 506. Like there's like venues there that a lot of people go to on tour and all this stuff. Like I remember seeing a lot of shows at the Cat's Cradle when I was growing up, but I don't think like there. I mean, somebody else might say like, yeah, we're like known for local music. It was like folk music and like bluegrass and stuff like that. Like if I wanted to see like a rap show, it was usually like somebody on tour coming in, or like a local act in Raleigh, or like I played a lot of beat sets growing up, but it was like a few guys who made beats and like a rapper, like something like that. It was never like anything crazy. I don't know. I was just on the internet heavy growing up.
No, for sure. Yeah, like it's interesting how like if you go like to certain places, like that's like their identity, music. You know, like you go to
Yeah.
like Nashville or something like that. Like that's like, that's their thing. And also, before we get off this topic, you know do you know who's the biggest? I would assume North Carolina artist right now. It's not J Cole. I'll just take another guess.
Who's that?
Luke Combs. I would assume he has to be bigger than J Cole, right?
I don't even know. Like I'm tapped out. I heard the name, but like I
He's
really
like a
don't.
big country artist.
Yeah. I know. I've heard the name before. Like I've seen it on the internet, but I have no idea.
That's crazy. Shout out to North Carolina for birthing a bunch of bunch of big musicians. You
Because
didn't even know. We had no clue. Shout out to that.
that's
Um,
good.
but yeah, no, it's super interesting how that is because I say like living in Jacksonville. I'm in Jacksonville, Florida. This is probably the least musically inclined city in the history of cities that has music in them. People like suck at music in Jacksonville. It's not good. Like I remember, I was going to interview. This is so funny. I never told you the story, but I was going to interview um, Corey Guns, and I was talking to his manager on the phone, and he was like, "Where are you from?" I was like, "Jacksonville, Florida," and he was like, "Who in Jacksonville got some balls? Who the man with some balls? I want to hit some balls." That's like he said. It's like, "I want to hit some balls," and I was like, "I'm sorry to break it to you. There's no balls in Jacksonville, Florida. Nobody's making good music." So it's interesting to see cities that have produced people like, or states really. Florida's definitely a musical city, but like states like North Carolina who has Ninth Wonder. Like Ninth Wonder is somebody who like is a real musician. I just want to say he's a producer. That's a real musician
Mm.
right there. I would say you are a musician. You know what I'm saying? Like going further and beyond that. Um, I don't know. Would you disagree with that? Like how would you? Is there a difference between a musician and somebody who's just a producer, or would you say somebody, if they are a producer, they are a musician?
I think a little of both.
Mm,
Like you definitely. I think it's more than just like making a beat. Like thing like a producer. I always hear that like a beat maker and a producer, and like I know this old head around here who's like I'm a real musician. He's like a bass player. He's like I'm a real musician. I'm not like these new producers. So like I think it's like all the same world. Like if you know how to make a beat and structure a song and like arrange a song and not like. But like as I say that, I know people who just make like 2 bar loops, 4 bar loops, just loop for like a minute and a half, and it's like the craziest stuff ever.
yeah.
So I think it's like it goes both ways. We're all musicians, like if you know how to like if you know rhythm and know how to like make something sound good and
Mm.
like make it come out, of course you're a musician.
My favorite musician right now, well, rapper coming out of North Carolina, somebody that you probably never heard of. I don't know. You ever heard of Money for Water? Hey, I have to show you Money for Water. That guy is making really, 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 really good raps, and he is from, I don't know. I'm not gonna say he's from some city, and I don't know. He's from somewhere in North Carolina. I don't know what city he's from, but he's from somewhere in
Okay,
North Carolina. And Money for Water is a special rapper. I'll show you him when we get off here.
interesting.
He's really, really good. That's somebody that I think you might like. But there's a lot of like newer people coming out like him. You have people like Mavi.
Mm.
You have people like Fetty P. Franklin. I know is from out there. I know you obviously coming out there. How is like the new hip hop scene in North Carolina compared to when you were growing up?
It's good. There's definitely a lot more people who I see popping up. Like Mavi, like I heard of Mavi and I didn't know he was from Charlotte. Jamonte, also Jamonte.
Jamonte, I forgot he is from out there.
Um, it's like it's a good group. Also, like when I was coming up, there was a lot of people. Like that's what I was saying before. Is like I don't want to discredit it because there was like a lot of people making beats. Which are like I think I was like blessed in that aspect. Like I remember doing like a beat battle when I was like 18. There was like 10 people in the battle, you know. So it's like I think it's a good mix. I think people have a hard time like getting out of that like local scene and just trying to like play the same circuit. Um, it's like I know people from high school and I still see them posting like flyers of like the music now and it's still at the same venues with the same people. It's like you got to like branch out a little bit. But that's been good too. Like I know a bunch of people there who have like who are doing well musically because they like went out and tried to like work with other people and put together like an album with more artists on it or beat tapes or whatever. You know,
But no,
it's good.
like
It's good right now.
for sure. I mean, it's reaching all the way in Florida. You know, like your
Mm.
music is hitting all the way down here because you wouldn't know this, but I do this list every year where it's like my favorite, most like underrated albums I feel like should have got more eyes on them. And in 2023, I had Waste Management with you and Theravada,
Mm.
and the song that did it for me was The Night. I love that song. That beat, that
Yeah, that's my favorite song in there.
that song is nuts. That song is
Yeah,
crazy. How did y'all come together to put that song or put that album out?
I don't know. We were just like kept working. Like I've known Zen like a long time through the internet.
Yeah.
Like before I moved to New York. So I don't know. We were just like making songs. Like he would just pull up. We would just cook 2, 3 a night, something like that. And then we had a bunch of songs. We had like way more songs that were on the album. And then we just like kind of chopped a bunch off and just like put together the best. I don't know how many songs are even on there, but we put together that pack that was like every single one has to be like the best.
Yeah.
I think we did a good job. There was a couple that I wanted on there that like didn't go on there, and I like listened to them now. I'm like, man, it should have been on there. But it's like it's perfect the way it is. Same thing with that, like the art, the sound, like the mixing, everything like came together really smoothly with that album. I love that album.
I could tell it's not, and we'll talk about the art behind you a little bit more. But the one up here, maybe that's on the opposite. Yeah, right there. No, up, no, no, other one. That right there. That looks like the album cover to Waste Management. Like the way it's layered out with like the, you know. Am I tripping?
Yeah, that's my roommate Virgil Warren. He did the alternate cover
Oh.
for Waste Management. So he did the one. It's like the not the actual cover that has like the
Yeah.
collages. The other one. So
Got you.
yeah.
Got you. Got you. Oh, did he do both of those?
No, he did the alternate cover.
He did the alternate cover. Did he do that one too? Above you?
Oh yeah, he did all these.
Oh, he did all those.
Yeah,
Got you. Got you. Got you. Got you. Got you.
it's me and the cat
That's you and the cat right there. Is that
right
is that evil Winnie the Pooh?
there.
On right.
Nah, that's I think it's like a. I can't remember what it's called. It's called a Monchichi. It's like a doll,
Mm.
and that's like an elf bar and a lighter and like a little medicine bottle.
Got you.
And
Got
it's
you.
like the bedside table, like a close up of the tables.
Got you. Got you. No, those are fire. Those are fire. Those are fire. You know, funny story about Theravada when I interviewed him, and like I'm looking at him very close up through FaceTime, and I'm like, man, this guy looks familiar. Like yeah, I know he makes music, but he looks like I've seen him from somewhere. And then you're doing the interview, and it clicked. He's in the background of a video on YouTube with like almost 1 million views. I don't know if you know what I'm talking about.
What video?
He's in a rap battle.
Oh yeah, the Mike.
Mike P versus Twerk,
Yeah, Mike P. That's
and
right.
I
That's
was
right.
like, I had to. He was talking, and I think I just interrupted him mid sentence. I was like, hey, I'm sorry to interrupt you. I was like, do you know who Mike P is? He was like, yeah. I was like, is that you in the background? He's like, yeah, and it threw me off. I was like, that's a tall white guy in the background of the Mike P
Right. I
video.
remember that. I remember that.
That is crazy. That is crazy. Are you a battle rap guy?
Not really. I've seen a couple. Like I used to watch them, but I'm not like. It gets tough for me. Like I need some. Just acapella. Like you're just going and going and going and going. Like
That's interesting. You're a producer, so like, do you think that plays a role? Like, you're just like, where's the beat? Where's the rhythm? Where's the, you know?
for sure. I like some acapella stuff. Like all like the Philly
Mm-hmm.
freestyle stuff where they're just like outside just rapping. Like that stuff I enjoy. I like battle rap. I just can't watch like too much of it. Like
Got you.
I like the quick clips and like
Yeah.
like that the might be bad. I watched the whole thing. Like it was good.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong, but like there's a balance. I need music. I need like
For sure.
rhythm.
What do you think about those old Philly like DVDs that like people love? Because you're not the only person that's like people are like I can go back and watch that all day. What about those you think are like special to people?
I think it just feels like authentic.
Mm.
Like it's like not trying to be anything. Like they're just doing it to do it.
Yeah.
Like it feels like there's like one vodka freestyle that's like over 30 minutes long or something. It's just like going and going and going, and I'm like, yeah, this is crazy. Like just doing it because they like knew that they were talented and they were like, just keep the camera on. I'm just gonna go. That's yeah, it's crazy to be able to do it at that level is like insane.
My homie just literally texted me like a few days ago and was like, "You gotta check this vodka freestyle out." So it's funny that you just brought that up because
Uh,
he
yeah,
literally sent me like a vodka freestyle.
He's my favorite from like the old Philly shit. Even Vodka's new stuff is really good.
Yeah, no, it made me go. I watched the freestyle. It made me go, was like, "What is he doing now?" So yeah, I did that. Is there anybody from like a maybe that's somebody that's like not active that in another timeline you would have loved to work with this person?
It's a hard question.
It's a lot of
Um,
people.
yeah, I gotta think about that. Just from back in the day, who's like
Sure,
not
yeah,
doing
yeah.
stuff.
Just somebody who's not as active, maybe that used to rap, or maybe they're a little active but not as much. You know.
I gotta think about that.
Okay, we come back. We come back. We come back to that.
Yeah, I
We
don't
come
want
back
to
to
just
that.
give some like
For sure. No, we
half
come back to
ass
that. We come
answer.
back to that.
Yeah,
We
no,
come back to that. We come back to
that's
that.
a strong one. Yeah.
Well, it's funny because I have a similar question because right before we did this interview, it just got confirmed that Alchemist is releasing a full album with Erica Badu in like sometime in the near future. So it made me think: is there somebody who's left field that you would want to do an album with? Because I would say Erica Badu is kind of left field from who you would think Alchemist would do an album with.
Mm, I'd like to do like a R&B album, like with the singer. You said like Erica Badu. Like I used to always think about like Lauren Hill, like trying
Mm.
to flip Lauren Hill stuff. Her like rapping a little bit, like the way she was going. I feel I would love to do like a jazz album too. Just mad names just flying across my head. Yeah, more like genre, just changing
Yeah,
the overall sound. Like, artist is like hard to pinpoint right now because it's just like
it's a lot.
tough.
It's a
Um,
lot of people. It's a lot
like,
of people.
yeah, but definitely like changing like the sound a little bit, and just trying to like make something different. You
Yeah,
know, um, a jazz, something jazz related
yeah.
would be super ill. Yeah.
For any jazz fans, I don't know if you're familiar with Adrian Young, but he's doing a lot of cool stuff right now with jazz. You're familiar with him at all? I first heard of him because he produced 12 Ways to Die by Ghostface Killer, an album from like 2012 or 20 something, not 2012, like 20, maybe 2012. But it was like a return to form from Ghostface. People were like, "Oh my gosh, like he's rapping over like some insane beats," and
Mm.
he's a producer. He produced Bilal. He produced the album for Bilal. He's done a lot of stuff. But more recently, he's had this thing called Jazz is Dead, where he's been like finding old jazz artists who haven't made songs in like 30 years and making like full length albums with them. and it's really interesting stuff. Like he did one with Roy Ayers before he passed away. Uh, he's made albums with just a bunch of jazz artists who's like, I haven't heard of them in like 25 years. And it'd be like their first song they've ever made, and it's like full albums with them. So it's called like Jazz is Dead. It's like a whole series he's been doing for the past few years. Very, very good
Crazy.
stuff. Very
Wanted
good stuff.
like to answer maybe like your first question
Yeah.
in that question, like Gil Scott, Gil
Mm.
Scott Heron, like something like that, like literally what you're talking about, like just working with like an old jazz artist or like Anthony Braxton.
Mm.
Like my dad took me to like an Anthony Braxton concert when I was like young. I just remember like being mind blown. So something like that, just like switching it up. Um, Also, like I have an answer for your first question. Styles P. I think Styles
Mm.
P or like Project Pat. Okay. I know it's like a little different from the sound, but like I was always like enamored by Project Pat when I was younger.
I think Project
I
Pat can
know
rap
that
over anything. I honestly
yeah,
think he can rap over anything though.
yeah. Styles P too.
Sure. Yeah, for sure.
Rose is nuts. Yeah, I had like a moment where I was like, I need to get like Raekwon and Styles P like on some shit, and I was like trying to make it work like for like 6 months. It's probably those two also like Raekwon of course, but that's like a given like of course. I like Project Pat.
Yeah,
Like I
that's a good
like
one.
that as my as locked in as my answer.
That's a good one.
Yeah,
You
it's
know,
just like
that's a good one. That was a good one. I was gonna say like Styles P is a part of like some of my favorite things in hip hop. When I love when an artist puts another artist on a song, and it's like, for example, Lil Wayne put Corey Guns on 6 Foot 7 Foot. That's
mm-hmm,
like the most like hip hop shit of all time because that was the main single to the album. It has no chorus and they're just rapping. And he's like, you know who I'm putting on the main? I'm not gonna put Drake. I'm not gonna put Nicki on this song. Put Corey Guns. That is like some super duper ultra hip hop stuff. And
mm-hmm,
Styles P has had to happen to him because the main was it Teflon Don. The main single for Teflon Don is BMF. I think of Big Meech, Larry Hoover.
mm-hmm,
Styles P is on that song, and
mm-hmm.
I love his verse. It's like the most like grittiest. What do you say? Did I mention I got guns from Red Dead Redemption? So fire! Shout out to Styles P, man.
Yeah, man.
Great rapper.
Shout out to Pastor Pat too.
Shout out to Project Pat, man. Like I said,
Pastor Pat, bro. He's a
he is
pastor.
preaching. He do be in the prisons now. I do see him. You know what I'm saying? I have seen him in the prisons, man. Shout out to hip hop artists for getting older and like we seeing like the evolution of them as just like humans and people. You know, like there's certain people who are like when they first came out crazy wild and now they're pastors. You know, so shout out to seeing hip hop legends evolve as humans and artists. That's cool. That's cool. Um, Throughout this whole interview, there's been a song stuck in my head, and the sample is just so beautiful. It's that feeling,
Mm,
that feeling. That song is so hard, and the very end, it's like it's a different part of the sample where it's like.
mm-hmm.
I I love that little. I low key wish you looped that in the beginning when he was rapping because it's only like 20 seconds of that at the very end. That part of that sample is nuts. That may be, and it's hard for me to say, but that might be my favorite beat. That beat is crazy on that album.
Mm, I appreciate it. It's funny. Like I was gonna try to arrange some stuff. Like when the song got done, and then I hit him up for the stems, and he lost the stems
Mm,
as his hard drive crashed. So I had to like make it work with that because the vocal is like in the sample, so we couldn't even isolate his voice to try to like take it out of the stem. So then we just had to like mix around that. And Trev did a good job. Mixed by Trev, he did like really good job mixing that song because I know it was a pain in the ass, just like the song itself. I love that. Somebody else told me that recently. Like, yo, that one. I also like how it just like it comes in. song before, and then the song right after, Talladega Nights, the Starker song right after it, like comes into the that like fade, and then it like comes out of the filter.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's a good one.
Great song. And then, of course, like I said, the reason I even know this album came out was this good orderly direction is crazy. That beat is nuts. And then the way Navy is rapping over it, Sage went insane over that beat. Then the beat switches at the end,
Mm-hmm.
and well, I was curious, was that the original thing, or was that a different beat that he wanted? How like what caused the second beat change?
We made both those songs around the same time, and I wanted to use the first song. I couldn't decide between the two, and I think that I wanted to take one of them. And he was like, "Why don't you just use both of them? Like, just put them both together, and just leave them as one name." Because I was gonna do like, I was thinking like, "Oh, should I name them like slash another
Mm,
song?" And then he's like, "Nah, just leave it." And then I think the name of the first one, if I'm not mistaken, was Good Orderly Direction. So I was like, boom, that's it. God, it was like perfect. I love both of them together. It just like hits perfectly.
fire. No, it's fire. Seek knowledge is crazy because hearing that, it's like, man, I want to hear more Uncle John over your beats now because I feel like his he has that type of like roughness that you'll hear on the locks or something, you know, that you don't really
Mm,
hear often anymore. Like people voices don't sound like that. Like there's certain artists that I hear and I'm like, this is like a damn 1995 voice. Like people don't even sound like this no more. He has a voice that just doesn't exist in his age group. So I would love to hear him over more stuff. I don't know. Have y'all worked before?
oh yeah, yeah. We got a few. I have. He's on one of my older albums on my album Cloyd. He's on there. The song's called Church on the Move, I think. And then I'm on a couple of his songs, French Tips, Fontaine Blue,
Fontaine
and
Blue is wait, I know that. That's on like a oh my gosh, hold on. I like that song. I can't remember what it sounds like. Keep talking. I have to find that though.
yeah,
That's
I always give him like some smooth shit because I like hearing. I told him like I love hearing him on like that like soulful, like smooth. Like I love his like hard stuff with drums, but like I want to give him like
yeah.
the opposite, like some calm shit.
It's this right? Fire. Fire, 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 fire. No, yeah. It's interesting because like I wish it was easier to like tracks. Well, I mean, Rap Genius has it sometimes, but like there's so many beats you probably made that I have no clue that you made because it might not be listed on Apple Music or it might not be on Genius or whatnot. What is the most concise way to find beats that you've produced?
I don't know. Google it.
Because I
Because
had no idea you produced Fountain Blue, and I love that song.
or on YouTube maybe, but like produced by Zoomo or Prod Zoomo or something like that. I don't know. I wish there was like a better way to because I know on Apple Music you can find like you can click the credits and then
Hmm.
it'll tell you. But I wish there was like a search on Apple Music or Spotify where you could just
I
put.
was thinking that I was like, you should be able to type in an artist or producer's name, and they're not just like their album pops up, but the songs that they produce. Because for example, like Fontaine Blue, you're not on the credits on Apple Music. You're not
Mm-hmm.
listening, so it's like it's no way I would know that unless you know. So I
Yeah,
wish it was a
I
better
know.
way
Or
for me to find it.
they do it on Spotify with like This Is Zumo, but I think you have to be like the co-primary on there if I'm not mistaken. So I wish they would like give producers more credit with that.
Yeah.
True, like
How
gotta
often
find
does
that.
like somebody bring up a song or you bring up a song and they're like, you produced that?
It happens, yeah, more than you would think. Because it's hard to tell sometimes. Like
Hmm.
people don't, the credits get mixed up if you're not co-primary. Like if it doesn't say like Zumo
Yeah.
and whoever is the main artist, then yeah, you're not. You got to go like digging for that, which a lot of people do.
Yeah.
I give a lot of people credit. Like they'll click on the credits, see who did that, or on YouTube, it'll say like in the description, like produced by. You know, it's a tough game for us, man.
You know, a song that you are very clearly credited on that I would say is probably my favorite beat by you, but it's not on streaming. I kind of want you to guess. It's not on streaming.
No clue.
No clue.
No clue. Not on streaming. Bandcamp,
It's
SoundCloud.
not on Bandcamp or I don't think it's not on SoundCloud. I don't know if it's on Bandcamp, but it's definitely on SoundCloud. 'Cause I tried to find the song on SoundCloud, it was not on there.
I don't know. YouTube.
It's strictly on YouTube.
I have no idea.
All right. That song, I just interviewed him, and he gave me the reason why it's not like on streaming, and I was like, "That's cool. Put that on streaming. That song is
What's the reason
amazing."
it's not on streaming?
He just like, "Man, I remember back in the day, it was certain songs you could only find on YouTube or on Dat Piff, and I like that feeling." And I was like, "That's cute and that's cool. Put that on streaming, bro. That song is amazing.
I'll
I
tell him he's
love that."
pulling up in like 2 hours.
Oh, is he?
I'm gonna tell him. Yeah,
Man,
yeah.
tell him to put that on stream and tell him I said it too. He's gonna laugh because he laughed when I brought it up, man.
You know what's
That's
funny
song's
is
amazing.
my shorty told me like 2 nights ago. She was like, "Yo, that Come Closer song is like." I listen to it every day. She's like, and it's the only song that I don't want to just hear the beat. Like, I love Goya's lyrics on it because she likes just the beat.
That's funny.
Which I respect. Yeah,
Yeah.
I love it. I'm glad.
It's
It's funny.
funny.
I love that song.
The thing about that song is like that's like the epitome cool song. The beat is really cool. I told him that when he made that song, it sounds like he put on shades and just like said he was just like cool with his arms folded, saying the bars. Like that is the coolest song of all time. I love that song. I don't know what it is about that beat that's like that makes it my favorite to you, but I think it is just the fact that it's like the epitome of coolness. You know?
Yep.
Love it.
We didn't try very hard. I think I didn't even realize like after we recorded it and like like I think once you're in a session for a minute and you're like you hear the beat like 20 times and you record and then you record again and then you don't like appreciate it at that moment. Like it's hot, but you don't really like fully take it in. Like after that, like especially when he put it up, I was like, oh yeah, this is a hitter. The beat and the rhymes, like he just flows so seamlessly over the whole song. Like it's a good one. The video came out good too. Like
Such the videos like everything is smooth about that. That is such a. And then he gave you some really good stuff on Go Free. You know, so that I mean, yeah, he's really good. He's really good. He has an album coming out soon for people who's not tapped in. Really good album. Really good album. Really good
Shout out
stuff.
Goya Gumani.
Shout out to Goya. It's interesting because like I said, just going through this and seeing all of the people that's on here, I'm like, man, I didn't know you were tapped in with this person. I didn't know you were tapped in with this person. And I'm like, man, you have like there's like a very cool thing that's been going on in the underground. I would say for the past at least like 5 6 years, where you have like the artists like Mike and you have artists like Wiki and like these people cultivating this cool sound. And I think it's cool that you're the one like producing the soundtrack for this like movement. Like you're one of the people scoring the soundtrack essentially. Do you look at it like that?
For sure. Like with this album, I felt like the producers need to like take it back, kind of like we like give so much to artists. And I know that's like the bread and butter, right? Is like giving songs to rappers for their albums and like trying to like help them create a thing. But like we need to kind of do our own thing and like have our own place for like all our sounds to live. And like I always love that, like putting together like a playlist of songs and like playing with the track list and like seeing what would go where. And I've done that in the past. In like 2019, I put out Dawn, which was like my first like producer album. So like every couple years, I try to give like that feeling back of like, no, this is my album, and these are just people that I brought in to just like be a part of that world with these other artists, and then it always comes out good. Like everybody's just happy to be a part of it because it's just like a producer, and you can do it from a producer standpoint where it's like, nah, I want this little sample to go here and this little thing, and it's like, we're our own artists too, and we get to like make those calls and put the album out, and it feels good. Like it's not just the rapper's perspective.
For sure. And like you said, just excluding the artist from it, even like the, I guess you would call them interludes with the instrumentals. I love those. Like the way you close it out with this right here. I think this is such a beautiful beat. Once again, I'm like, man, I wish it was 5 minutes longer. Like this is like such a,
Thank you. Yeah.
is so beautiful. What was the idea behind the? We kind of call them interludes, or how would you label these?
Yeah, yeah, I think so. I
Yeah.
mean, they're just beats at the end of the day. Like all of them are like beats for me. But yeah, for sure, you can call them whatever you want.
Were they sequenced in a certain way, like where Heavenly Messenger? Does that sound like an outro to you? Like what made that the outro? What made Soul and Spirit kind of in the middle? Like what made you place them where they were?
I think sonically, like while I was going through them, like what sounds good behind what track, and kind of like finding a good balance, because like some of those songs are a little harder than the other ones, so trying to like balance. You don't want all soul stuff in the front and then all the tough stuff and then all the like kind of trying to find a balance. I always knew Heavenly Messenger was going to be like the last song
Hmm.
because of like how bright it is, and I had that for like a long time. Like I made that like a couple years ago, and I always like sat on it. I have like a good batch of beats like that I just like sit on until I have like the perfect spot for it.
Yeah.
Um, and that just felt like that. I think it was longer. Uh, I just like kind of consolidated some of those, like Soul and Spirit too. Like trim them to where it should be exactly like seamless through the
Mm.
whole run through. Because I know like some albums, I don't want to hit skip.
Yeah.
Like I hate that. Like I'll be listening to an album and then the song's like way long, like 3 minutes long. A beat is 3.5 minutes long. I'm like, this should just be this much. I literally just listen to it. I'm like, okay, that's where it should cut. Boom. And then make that transition to be seamless into the next song. The transitions were like a big thing for me with this album. It's like, I want every song to flow into the next one seamlessly. Like nothing changed. Like your Apple Music didn't even tell you, like, oh,
Mm.
click, that's the next song. Click,
I
that's the
agree.
next.
No, it is very seamless. I love when albums have like a seamless transition to one song to another, and like so you don't know. Like that was like I would say like an album like off the top of my head. This is like a big album, but like Good Kid, Mad City. I remember feeling like this is
Mm-hmm.
a very seamless album from the skits to the next song. It just feels like you're listening to one song, but not in a bad way. It's like a movie
For
almost.
sure.
It's like going
Yeah.
scene from scene.
I love albums like that.
Yeah.
That's like most of the albums that I've been doing like recently, that's been like my main thing. It's like, no, we just need like every song to
Mm.
go. They gotta end right at this millisecond.
Mm.
Like I'll like go in and look at the exact spot where it should cut, and then having those little samples that lead from that end of one song into the next song, so that like even on Spotify or Apple Music or whatever, you can't even tell that the song changed, and then all of a sudden it's the next song. I love albums like that. That's like, I feel like that was a big thing like back in the day. More like people really cared about albums. I guess that's not really a thing now. It's like everybody's just dropping like a single, and that doesn't really matter. Because I had a discussion about this recently. It's like albums are dying. Like nobody wants to sit through like a whole album. They just pick out one song, and that song is the one that gets on the playlist, on the Spotify playlist, and then one song off the album blows up. It's like I just want like that full package to come back. Like I love listening to tapes like that.
That's why I always. I just said this recently in an interview. I was like, when I first found out about Kendrick Lamar, I was like, this guy can rap. Obviously, he makes really good music, but he's not going to be like a star because of the what he's doing. Is like this isn't like something that like gets rewarded in the mainstream. Like this is just
Mm-hmm.
like a good underground artist. That's what he's going to be, and that's cool. I was not expecting that because he's a person that obviously puts a lot of thought into his album. Rather, if it's going to be, hey, I'm going to put this bridge leading into this interlude, then the interlude's going to lead to the song, and then like he's the type of person like he'll put like a single out, and then the single will be different than the album version because the album version fits better than the single would have that was put on the radio or whatnot. There's a lot of that thought put into albums. I don't feel like a lot of mainstream rappers are doing. Like I said, it's just like single, single, single. It's like a bunch of singles. It's not really like a cohesive album. You know,
Right.
I've always heard Schoolboy Q say that every album that he's put out, Kendrick has sequenced it because he really respects the way he sequences stuff. So I think that's cool that you yourself, somebody, when you're putting together an album, it has to be sequenced in a certain way.
1,000%. My solo albums or with like another artist, like it's got to be perfect. And I get like a little OCD. I think about it, and like I can get like annoying at times because I just like pinpoint on like certain things. But it's got to be perfect because like it's gonna be like that forever. Like it's once it's done, it's done. So you gotta like make sure that it's exactly how you want it.
No, for sure. It listen to this album. There was plenty of times where I was like, "Wait, is this a different song?" Because it felt like it was just flowing into a different, just maybe transition of the beat or something like that. I was like, "Wow, this is really so." I got that. You know, that was more of a
Yeah, for
subconscious
sure.
thing. But the fact that you said it, you brought it out of my head. Where it's like, "Well, I actually did think that." Listed his album, so I think you did a
Yeah, I
really good job
appreciate
with
that.
that. No, for sure. Um, is there a song on here? If somebody this is their first time ever hearing of you, is there a song you would direct them to be like to sell them?
I really like "Wish I Could Fly" featuring YO. It's like a good intro. I like a good early direction is like a good one too. Sonically, because it's two different songs, two
Yeah.
different vibes. Um, it depends. It depends what they're in the mood for. It's problem solver. Oh, I don't know, man. There's a lot of songs on here that just all like they all mean something different. So I guess it's like I would ask like, what are you in the mood for?
Mm,
But yeah, they all like serve their own purpose. I think even the beats,
yeah.
they all like they all do their own thing, what they need to do.
So before we get out of here, I would first of all, if I had to, not that you asked, but if I had to recommend a song, I would definitely say go listen to that feeling. That feeling is nuts. That I feel like if you don't like that, then just cut your ears off at that point. The song is amazing. But before we get out of here, I've been interviewing a few people from North Carolina, South Carolina, and well, actually just North Carolina. But I have been watching a lot of things coming from South Carolina. This is not a music related question. This is just a culture question. South Carolina is a different place. It seems like they live on like they walk at the beat of their own drum. I seen a guy from South Carolina cook a snake donut burger. Uh, a lot of crazy things coming out of South Carolina. So my question is, from your knowledge of both of the states, are they very different? Because I'm combining North Carolina with South Carolina since they both have the word Carolina in them.
I think they're different.
Hmm.
Like personally, me being from there, I also like haven't been. I've been to like Myrtle Beach in South Carolina, which is also like spotty. We call it Dirty Myrtle. But I North Carolina for me is like it has the mountains, the Piedmont, and the beach. So it's like all three. It's like best of both worlds, kind of like everything. Chapel Hill is like in between, so you can go like 3 hours, 4 hours to the mountains, 3 4 hours the other way. South Carolina's cool, but nothing beats North Carolina.
I respect it. It just seems super country in South Carolina. Like when I see what's his name, football player Xavier Leggett eating raccoon, and he's like, this is a delicacy in South Carolina. And then that makes me think, are they eating raccoon in North Carolina? But everybody in North Carolina has told me they've never seen anybody eat raccoon.
Yeah, nah. I think it's a different. That's why, like, I don't really know. Like, I've been to Myrtle Beach, and also when I went to Myrtle Beach, I was like, get me out of here.
But your dad's never came home with a just a little big raccoon or a eating coon tonight, boy. That's never happened.
Nah. I ate rabbit. I ate rabbit
Okay.
before. Like, yeah, nah, nothing too crazy.
Is that the craziest thing you've had? Rabbit?
I had I had gator when I lived in Gainesville, and then
Oh, you lived in
I ate a horse sandwich in Spain one time. Um,
That's by far the craziest one. You said that the most calmest too. I had a horse one time. What?
it was like super late. We were all in a sandwich shop, and then somebody handed me a sandwich. I was like, "What is this?" They were like, "Oh, it's horse." And I was like, "Wait, what?" And it's like, a really good looking sandwich too. It
That's funny.
was good.
Did you put anything on it, or was it just horse?
I think there was stuff on it. Like, it was from a sandwich shop, and they were like, "Yo, we only have like these 3 sandwiches left, like available."
We only have horse.
They were like, "Let's get all three, whatever they are." And then,
That is funny. You lived in Gainesville for a second.
yeah, when I was a kid, yeah,
How old were you?
I think like 6, 7,
Six,
something
six,
like that.
seven.
My dad was a professor at UF.
Really? What'd your dad teach?
He taught English, I think, for like a couple years. And now he
Gotcha.
just moved on from that. But
Gotcha. Big
yeah, I remember.
vocabulary.
Yeah, for sure. My dad's a poet, so he's like,
Okay.
he's he be clocking me on like my when I spell things wrong and when I like when I say something that means something else. Yeah, he'll clock me.
That's interesting. How did you ever get into that bag where you were like, I'm finna be in my poet wizardry bag, or because you went to the thing that's opposite of poetry. You're no words.
Yeah, exactly. I don't think so. I never I always hated the sound of my own voice, so
Hmm.
I never like wanted to pursue anything like vocally. But I definitely remember like trying to get into poetry. I used to like write little books.
Yeah.
I think when I was like a kid, and just like full on creative. My dad's like a painter
Mm.
too. He does like crazy drawings. This is like a lot of art growing up,
Yeah.
and it wasn't just like you need to be like a writer, like a poet. It's kind of like given the freedom to
Yeah.
just like do whatever. So I was like heavily influenced back in the day by just skate videos, and beats were in skate
Mm.
videos. So that's what it was. Where I would
Gotcha.
hear beats and skate videos, be like, "What is this? Like,
Gotcha.
what are these? It's like hip hop, but no words." And then yeah, and then my cousin played uh, Dilla's the Donuts album,
Mm-hmm.
like coming back from Thanksgiving, and I was just like, "What is this?" It was working on it was playing. I was like, "What is this?" And he's like, "Yeah, it's Jay Dilla," and then yeah, it like blew my mind. Like, I was like, "Oh, this is like the what's in the skate videos, but it
Mm.
has like a different thing." And then I just like fully jumped in. It was around that same time when I was like trying to figure out what I wanted to do, like
Gotcha.
for drawing and for all that stuff. It's funny thinking back to that.
Yeah, no, shout out to you. Shout out to your father. Renaissance man, apparently. Paints. I should have been interviewing him. Goodness gracious, this guy's a legend.
Yeah, he's a legend for sure.
Shout out to Pops. Well, how about we leave it on this note in his vein. Give me a word of the day. Just something that you said. I'm pretty sure you've heard him say something that stuck in your brain. I was like, that's a word. That's a good word right there.
Diopsis.
Okay, I need a definition on that one.
That's like my pops. I don't know if they like came up with that back in the. He used to make like short films and
Does
a
he?
bunch of
What
stuff
doesn't he
with
do?
friends. Uh,
What? This guy,
I don't know.
it's crazy.
But I'm gonna read you the definition
Yeah,
right now.
diopsis. Is that DY or is that DI?
Diopis.
SIS, I would assume.
Diopsis. Damn, I can't remember what it's. I can't remember
I got you.
what the website is called. But there was a website that he made, and it had all his music that he made with his friends on it, the short films, and Diopsis. Essentially, uh, it's like it's like not like telekinetic stuff, but it's like when I think about a burrito, and then you were like, "Yo, damn, I want a burrito right now," and you were somewhere else, like, "Yo, this burrito sounds fire," and then we get on the phone, and I was like, "Yo, I want a burrito." You're like, "Yo, that's diopsis. That's diopsis." I was just like about to smash a burrito too. So I'm watering it down a bunch, but
I got you.
yeah, it's the same thing. Like, it's crazy.
Wait, did he make this word up?
I feel like it. They were very like creative around that
Yeah.
time. They they made like a lot of short films about like a moonshiner, um, and then like another one about like walking through walls,
Mm.
and then that was like Secret Life of Dustin. Hold on, I'm trying to find it right now.
No, dude. Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know if it got taken down. Honestly, I'm like interested. Yeah, so a lot of just creative stuff back then. A lot of like filmmaking and music. There's like a website, I can't find it right now, but it has like all this. It was like improv, like jazz and like rock stuff that they would do. So like, you know, it's like fully.
Yeah.
You see where I get like this kind of influence from, just being like free to do whatever.
Yeah.
My dad did like a couple covers for me, like for Cloyd, my album Cloyd.
Mm.
He did the front cover and the special edition cover. He's a legend.
Hey, talent runs in the family. Somebody has to put Diopsis in a bar now. I don't know what that would be, but somebody has to put Diopsis in a bar. So if you're watching this and you're gonna work with him, tell Goya today, hey man, just put Diopsis in the bar, man.
Yeah, bro. We need it. We got to keep it living, bro.
You know what I'm saying? Diopsis, my chick fly and pop shit. I don't know. That's funny. Hey man, if there's anything you have to say before we get out of here, the floor is yours.
Uh, yeah. Go listen to Absolution. Um, Shout out to Triple R. Shout out to Butch Dogwood. Yeah, man. More on the way. Uh, just keep tapping in. More beats, more videos, more albums. Go listen to Absolution. Run up the videos on YouTube. Shout out to you, man.
Hey man, I
You're a young
appreciate you.
guy.
I
Yeah,
appreciate
man.
you. Shout out to
Thanks
you.
for having me.
For everybody watching, go listen to Absolution. Until next time, I say what I mean. I mean what I say. Haters are gonna hate, players are gonna play it, and you guys holler at your boy.